Hi, this is Mark News from Plant Talk Radio. Thanks for subscribing and listening to our podcast, Your Gardening Questions from Plant Talk Radio. If you have a gardening question you'd like our host Fred Howard to answer, send him an email. The email address is fred@planttalkradio.com. Now for today's question. Fred, we did get another email question from Tom, and he says, I like how he says, can I finally, and he has finally in
bold
print, can I finally cut the foliage off my daffodils? What about the tulips and other bulbs?
Well, I'm going to go into bigger print yet with the no word.
Okay.
Matter of fact, I had that down as something to talk about today, just as a matter of seasonal situation. Bulbs have to remanufacture themselves. The foliage is there to sustain the plant and in its flower, and then it is there to recreate, if you will, or remanufacture a new bulb, or new bulbs in this case. And every bit of sunshine is needed, and that's why, in part, that's why a lot of the bulbs come from Holland. They have dawn to dark, beautiful, brilliant skies, sun everywhere, and it's cool at night, so that what the bulb makes during the daytime, so to speak, makes a food, it doesn't get expended in respiration overnight. So that's why and how the Dutch and then some areas and regions here in the U.S. can grow a beautiful bulb. Now, that comes back to the big no. Leave the bulb foliage, and I understand the finally, because bulb foliage is not the prettiest part of the plant. That's all there is to it, especially when it starts to turn brown. But please do let it turn brown. Now, there is an interim step if you wish to do it. First of all, do not bend them over and tie them with a rubber band. Don't braid them so that they'll stay smaller, because each of those functions cuts down on the amount of leaf surface catching sun. So therefore, they can't manufacture enough food. Leave them alone. However, when a bulb, and I'm going to pick on the daffodil and tulip right now, others are going to be the same. When the bulb foliage has died down, turned brown, let's just say the top quarter to third or even half, if you wish, you can grab them by the hair of the head, of the tips, if you will, and cut them off, because that part of the foliage is done doing anything of any positive nature. Then, being that we're essentially into the frost-free zone of time now, you can go ahead and plant the annuals in between the bulbs. It's a little bit of an effort, and it doesn't give you a chance to re-rototill or re-spade and prep the beds. But at the same time, you can plant right between the bulbs, let the bulb go ahead and die down as the annual is growing up, and you just essentially quit seeing and fussing with the foliage of the bulb. So by all means, Tom, leave the bulb foliage as much as you can. Or the other option, quite honestly, and I've had several clients request this, wait until they're finished blooming, dig them out, throw them away, put them in the compost, whatever you want to do, and start over again in the fall with a whole new color display. Now, that is not inexpensive in time or money, but it does relieve you of having to wait on the foliage. It gives you a chance, while digging the bulbs, to, let's just say, rework the soil, add some more compost, other organics, and get that soil in good shape for the annuals and so on. So there is that alternative. If you, well, I guess you'd put it this way. If you have a deep enough pocket, you can do that. And you can do it in large numbers, because a couple of the people I've worked with, the bulbs were in large numbers. And then again, even in a patio garden, where you wouldn't have as much of an expenditure, you have a few dozen daffodils, you have a few dozen crocus, and et cetera. Dig the rascals out, throw them away, give them to somebody else to replant, which I don't totally recommend, because they've been upset right at the time they should be manufacturing food. Doesn't work real well. But at the same time, some gardens, big gardens, public gardens, will dig the bulbs, lay them out, even by color. People can come and purchase them for some pittance, take them home and plant them, and so on. So there's lots of ways of looking at it, but In my pocketbook, I let the bulbs die down on their own in place.
Well, this is a perfect example of planning your garden ahead of time. Maybe next year say, well, I didn't like the way that looked after they got done, so I'm going to move them back and so I can put some annuals or something in front of them.
Or in my present case, I would recommend to me and others that where there are deer who love tulips, don't plant tulips the next time. Plant all daffodils. Somehow the deer and other creatures know that a daffodil is reasonably toxic. And now to us, no child won't eat much of the foliage because it's too bitter, etc. But work with Mother Nature, not against, because if you work against Mother Nature, there's an unwritten rule. You're going to lose.
That's right. Hey, thanks again for listening to our podcast. Be sure to subscribe to our other podcasts as well, the Plant of the Week podcast and the Plant Talk Radio podcast, all on iTunes or your favorite podcast player. If you'd like to sponsor a daily podcast, contact us at fred@planttalkradio.com. To find out more about Fred Hauer and Plant Talk Radio, visit our website, planttalkradio.com.
This is Michelle Wilson, host of the Business Inspires podcast from the Tri-Village Chamber Partnership. To run a successful business, you need resources, valuable connections, and community recognition. In each episode of the Business Inspires podcast, we talk with small business community leaders who will inspire you to create the business you are envisioning. The Business Inspires podcast is on Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, Google Play, YouTube, your Alexa device, and your favorite podcast player.
Circle270media.com